Heidts started in 1985, so we've been around the block for a little while. Our market is automotive suspensions, primarily in the aftermarket. So back in 1985, Gary Heidt, the founder of the business, designed a new suspension to help older cars handle better. So the street rod, hot rod categories of cars, those cars had a solid axle when they came from the factory, so they didn't handle real well. So Gary saw a need where you've had customers wanting to put a modern independent suspension on these cars. If you're going to put in a new motor with air conditioning, you want power steering, you want it to handle well. So that's really how Heidts got started, was independent front suspensions for street rods and hot rods. Wallace LaShawn, our current owner, bought the business in 2010. He's had it for 12 years and really moved beyond muscle car, or beyond hot rods, into more muscle cars. So getting into mid-60s, later 60s, 1970s muscle cars, Camaros, Mustangs, classic trucks, things like that is really our niche. A lot of the material that we use a lot of tubing, steel tubing, aluminum tubing, a lot of steel bar stock, and then flat sheet metal as well. So those are really our main commodities, raw materials that we're using, and then we're converting those to our suspension components. Whether that's a control arm, upper and lower control arms are usually tubular, cross members, chassis stiffeners, even some of our front ends are made of a lot of tubular components. On the material side, we've got steel prices that have been increasing over the last 2 years. So we're trying to pass as little as that along to our customers as possible. We know they're operating on budgets as well. So at the end of 2020, we were able to add a tube plasma. And we're not a real big shop, we're a medium-sized manufacturer. We are very vertically integrated, so we do a lot of tubing conversion, cutting it, bending it, milling it, notching it, and then into welding. We're not a job shop. All the stuff that we make is for our own products that we sell. So, we looked through the market and looked at, machines that could do that CNC function, so we could improve the precision of our cutting and repeatability, and selected the Dragon from Bentech. So a lot of our customers, as they're working on these older cars, they're putting in new engines, new transmissions. They're wanting to do things with the car that car maybe wasn't necessarily designed to do back in the 60s. So with that comes implications to the suspension, because as you take an older car that may be at 150 horsepower or 200, let's say, and you're going to put in a new modern engine making 700-800 horsepower, there's a lot of forces in the chassis, a lot of twisting, a lot of torque, that your ability to get that power to the ground is, you're going to need some help to do that. And that's where our suspensions, they really need to perform. And a lot of times we're putting like the IRSCC behind me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there. We've got a cradle, we've got dual upper and lower control arms, we've got coilovers with disc brakes. So we're trying to put a lot of stuff in a small package, and selecting the right machinery, whether that's our CNC bender with different tooling. We've actually had to make some customizations on that bender to allow a tighter bend radius as we get into a complicated part. So having the right tube processing equipment really gives us an advantage to design our parts from the beginning to fit the parts that we need to in the confined spaces that we're working with. The tubing machinery, the Dragon, is certainly in the CNC. It's allowing our operator in that work cell, who's been with us for 20 years, he can get more out of that work cell than what he was, before some of that machinery. So we're able to produce more product with the same production staff. So, we haven't had to, make any changes there that, would affect our ability to get stuff out the door. And getting things out the door, I think, has given us a big advantage in the marketplace.